We are in the weekly Torah portion. Please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, hit the bell to get notifications. We are in Portion-Shmot, and we're going to start with the second Aliyah. The first part of the Aliyah is just reviewing that Bnei Israel came to Mitzrayim, they came to Egypt, 70 in total. We went through the 12 tribes that went there. And then we identified that everybody died out. The Jews expanded exponentially. Again, 6 babies with each birth, and all healthy. That was the uniqueness of that. And then a new king arose. Whether or not it's really a new king or an old king just renews the decrees are the question. Does he feign he doesn't know Yosef, or does he really not know about Yosef? We had all those questions we've dealt with many times. He told his nation that they want to deal smartly with these people, to either try to squelch their birth rate, so they're going to make them work hard, or they're going to tax them and hopefully they leave. Whatever the case is going to be, that's, again, whichever side of that argument you're going to take. And to say that he put taxes on, that would be the verse. He put tax collectors on there. He put they said put to taskmasters, but it's certainly about taxes to afflict them with their hard work. Fine, they build the cities of Ramses and Pitom Ramses, which are never-ending battles. And then but meanwhile, the Jews are split, going throughout the whole land of Egypt, and they're leaving Goshen. They're entering the regular parts of the country. The other parts of the country, I shouldn't say regular, other parts. So that's when it says, "Vayekutsu mipnei bnei Israel." The Egyptians became disgusted, or because of the Jews. And so, what does that mean? That because wherever they were looking, the Jews were there, and maybe the government, or Rashi says if they were in where is it, Rashi? That says, no, it doesn't say it there, but it says that they were going to the circuses, they were going to all these other things. They were wherever they were, fine. And then let me just finish the review. And then it says they tried to afflict them with hard work, and that they would make them. And then he finally goes to the third level and says secretly to the what do they call it? the birthing people. What do they call them? Midwives. The midwives, to say, if you see a Jewish boy, kill him. If you see a Jewish girl, then let her live. By the way, the names Shifra and Pua, according to what we all learned from Rashi, it's really referring to Yocheved and Miriam. According to other people, that is the name of the office, Shifra or Pua, and therefore there would be Egyptian midwives who were going in to help birth the Jewish babies. But they would have been good Egyptians, because they didn't, in the end, they didn't kill, they didn't listen to what Pharaoh was saying, because they feared God. How are we going to look at that? Most people, again, Rashi, we all learned in yeshiva, everywhere else, that's referring to Jews, and namely Yocheved and Miriam. But again, there is an opinion out there that says they were non-Jews, and that really opens up the door to an interesting conversation, which, again, we're not going to have right now, but it just to put that out there for YouTube world, and for them to look up all the different things. And bottom line is, they don't listen. Yeah, you were going to ask.
Oh, so the last portion, or the end of Bereshit,
right?
Ends. So when Joseph died. So do we know what is the time frame that we're picking up here? Do we know how much time has passed?
Everybody had to. I'm not sure. You're looking at probably. They were there for a total of 210 years.
Yeah, when it talks about a new king, was he really a new king, or was he?
No,
was
so
he? That's really.
So that let me just see. I believe you're going on Redu. So it all goes. It's all based upon the midrash. I have the wrong book here. Okay, it's all based upon Redu. So Rashi says. It's because that comes out to 210 years, but they weren't really there for 210 years. I believe. It wasn't. They weren't enslaved for 210 years. I believe what happened was they were only enslaved for 116 of the 210. I believe that's what's
So
going on.
this is the starting point of the enslavement, but again, how
Right.
far is
So
since-
you'd be looking at post all the kids dying. So
Yeah.
again, I don't really, I'd forget offhand.
So it's
I know
possible
it's in
that
the back of my mind, but I don't have the book here.
is it possible like it's within one generation?
Certainly within one
It's
generation.
possible you really could be the same king?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Hmm.
First of all, let's remember, Og lives for 400 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so he goes through a lot of people. Pharaoh could have gone through a lot of people. It's very possible that he lived. He could have been, he was a young boy when he took over. There's a lot of things that, you could say a lot of these, of principles here. How old was he when Joseph was born? I mean, when Joseph became the king. That would be another question. And just because Joseph died 110 doesn't mean that he had to die 110. He could have lived longer. So it could be the new king. And the fact that the Torah has to say that he forgot Joseph, or is that the expression? He forgot Joseph. He lo yada. He didn't know about Joseph. So the fact that he says he didn't know Joseph could mean, if we say that he just made himself like he doesn't. So that means that
it's a long time ago, right? Yeah.
Well, that means that it was.
No, I mean, if the king was, the pharaoh was that old, maybe he was getting fuzzy. Maybe he really didn't remember.
No, I would no, because nobody wants to say that.
Ah,
They want to say he made himself like he didn't know. So again, once Joseph died, it could have been right away. Once he died within a couple of years, he could have said, okay.
And in other words, his reason being maybe because it was such a long time ago, that he was getting maybe tired of the whole thing, and you say when.
Well, no, when he sees them exploding.
Yeah, and moving and
Right. So
bringing the sheep with him and everything, I guess.
no, his sheep he liked.
Oh.
It's good commerce. It's good commerce. That's what I'm saying. As we learned from the share and bear and share, that when you want to leave the United States of America, you have to pay. You were there? Oh, you weren't there. So we learned that you have to give 23%? 23.8% of your monies to the government.
But if you want to become
when you want to leave the government, when you want to leave when you want to leave the country, you have to pay. So in other words, United States, you have to pay the United States. So
if you want to, let's say you want to make a Aliyah,
you want to make Aliyah and then you're leaving.
Oh, but people usually keep their citizenship.
So that, by the way, when you do that,
but if you want to renounce your citizenship,
when you do that, when you keep your citizenship, just to show that I know something about this stuff. When I went to Canada, and I was working in Canada, I had to make a dual tax amount. My taxes, the United States didn't bother me for taxes because I paid more in Canada than I pay in the United States. So it's called a reciprocal agreement that they're going to leave me alone. But if I would have to pay more here than Canada, they would have helped the money on me. They would have taken my money. So, it's like I said, while I'm holding my membership here, if you will, I have to pay the dues. And that's really what's going on. You have to pay dues. Wherever you are, you have to pay dues. So what would have happened here is if they would have left as the loyal citizens of the Egyptian empire, they would have had to give something for it, or the king would have taken everything. Who knows? So he doesn't want to lose that sort of workforce.
Yeah.
Again, they came in by his invitation. So they're not illegals. Okay. It's not like when we have all the illegals that we're yelling, United States, get rid of the illegals. Well, the illegals are the ones who are mowing our lawns and blah, blah, blah. That's the argument about keeping them here. And they're doing the jobs that nobody else wants. Again, that's the argument for keeping them here. And I think it's a fallacious argument, but nonetheless, I'm not going to get involved in that political discussion, at least not right now. But that would be what the Jews were doing. The Jews were doing all these jobs. And so now and again, they're in all the aspects of according to what we're seeing from the verses, they were everywhere. So they're getting involved in everything. So to start throwing them out wouldn't be a smart thing because one, they're in every part of your society. So people aren't going to appreciate, as we learned, they're not going to appreciate unjust laws, okay, against citizens that haven't done anything to them. So that's why he had to do something to make people forget Yosef.
Ah,
So if it's the same, again, if it's the same guy, he has to go through measures. And that's why he says, let's be smart about him. Let's be smart. Okay, we can't just kick him off. Unlike, listen, assume that an invading army would come into the country, and then they don't know him. Well, they don't have to pick on the particular group, regardless of who they are. They can just kick anybody out or kill at will. Why would they say, let's be smart about this? That would be the argument against him being of a different group. No, it's a different group just kills people. They don't care. What do they care? Chavez just kills. That's the power of the what's his government? Communist? Chavez.
Hugo Chavez.
That's Cuba.
That's communist.
The communists. So that's the power of the communists. We just kill people if we don't. We kill our enemies. We don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Unlike in America, where you can't kill your enemies like that, to be somewhat underhanded. What do you call it?
More subtle.
More subtle. You have to be more subtle. Okay. Because people will get excited. What are you doing? I mean, if you think about how beautiful this country is, I want to know how beautiful this country is. We have illegals here. We have illegals trying to get in every single day, and there's a part of our society, a very loud. I don't know if they are a minority or majority who are saying, "You gotta leave me alone." We were also immigrants at one point. This is what the country is made of, and nobody wants to admit that. Yeah, but you're illegal immigrants. But that seems to be lost in the conversation. But nonetheless, we have such compassion for people who want to come in, who are trying to escape whatever they're trying to escape, that we are willing to open our borders wide and say, let's not worry about it. Okay, that you didn't see historically. You wouldn't have seen that anywhere. And I think we're unique for that. And again, I think that's why Hashem is blessing this country, because we have such a compassion, such a rahmanis for people that it's unparalleled from what I've seen historically. It's just unparalleled. No matter what, we say, no, we have enough. We have plenty. Let's spread it out. Again, there are those who say no, close the borders, leave me alone, build a wall, and shut everybody out, and come in legally, no problem. But we'll make it miserable for you to do so. Whatever the case is going to be. But like I said, that seems to be what's going on. Vayakim Melech Hadash, like we said, it's a coup here. It wasn't a normal progression. It was a coup. And so this new guy is trying to hold down this population, which is increasing on a daily basis, apparently. And again, with 6 kids every single pregnancy, you can imagine how fast they're growing. Okay. So like I said, so he told his midwives to do this. Now, second Aliyah. Vayikra Melech Mitzrayim al Yodot. So the Melech Mitzrayim, the Pharaoh, calls to the midwives. And he says to them, why have you done this thing? What did you do? You've allowed the children to live. I gave you a specific order, and you disobeyed me. Why did you do it? So their answer is an interesting answer. I just want to, okay. He says, so Rashi is, not only did you let them live, but mispakot lehem mayim mazon. You also gave them food and water. Water and food. So it wasn't just enough that you let them live, but you've been supporting them. Okay? What are you doing here? I told you to kill them. Fine. So then the answer is, Vatom ayam odot el paro. So the maidservants, the midwives said to Pharaoh, Ki lo kenashim hamashiyot hevriyot. These Jewish women are not like the Egyptian women. Why? Ki chayot hena, they're like animals. B'terem tavo aleihem. Before the midwife comes to them, they gave birth already. No. Like an animal will give birth without any help. Yeah. So these women are giving birth without help. So you Pharaoh said to us, when they give birth, if you see it's a male, then you kill them. If you see a female, you don't. When are you going to kill them? This was an interesting thing I saw. When do you kill them? When they're still in utero. And how do you know it's a male or female? Because of where they're, apparently they had, I don't know if you see you guys, well, in the medical field, I think your mother probably disagree with this, but there used to be a thing that if the baby is high, it's a boy. If it's low, it's a girl, or whatever the expression was, high or low. I forget which one it was.
I have no idea.
I forget. But the thing is that's how they would test, and that's why women would say to their, oh, you're having a boy. How do you know I'm having a boy? Because it's low or high, whatever the thing was. Did you ever hear when you were younger?
I don't remember.
Oh, so I remember hearing that when I was younger, when probably when my wife was pregnant, that my mother was prognosticating as to what the baby's sex would be, and that was be her reason, because I forget, high or low. There was a whole mishigas like that. So what happened was apparently there was some sort of science to that. And when they're taking them out and they would see the boy before it comes out or as it's coming out, that's when they would snap the neck or something. That's when they would supposed to hurt it so that it wouldn't be able to live. Because once it's out and alive, you can't say it's dead. Right? That's so obvious. You hear the baby crying, so it's not, so you can't say what happened on baby. But if you don't, what?
It's a boy.
It's right, it's that boy. So that's why he was telling the midwives, which is why the midwives, the answer, they're not like us. Before we get there, they've already given birth, so they know they're healthy. We can't do anything. I'm sorry. That was what their excuse was. Okay, and what does it mean that they're like animals? So Rashi says, Bekiyot kimyeldot. They are experts like the like the midwives. That's the simple explanation. And then Rashi, the rabbis, explain another thing, since they were compared to the wild animals of the field by their father, Yaakov, our grandfather. That's why they're using the terminology here. Obviously, he calls him, Bechor Shor, Gor Aryeh, the lion, and so on and so forth. So, and then that's what it is. Now, you can also look at this. Now, let's say something else. If they are the Jews talking like this, so they would know how Yaakov blessed the people. But if they're Egyptian midwives, so now they can use this horrible language, ki chayot hena, because they're animals, and that would make sense, right? Because they want to show their prejudice. That would make sense in that if you make them Egyptian women, they're playing into Pharaoh. They're like animals. What can we do? They don't need us. Okay, so it can be the derogatory term, and that would fit into that mold of saying they're Egyptians, and then they're just playing the game, right? They're just playing the game because they really don't. Why aren't they killing them? Because they feared God. They were God-fearing, whatever. But whatever they were fearing, they feared God. They feared this Elohim, and that's it. So that's what they did. Okay, so now what happens?
You can also go with the I don't know if it's like a precursor, but the old expression breeding like rabbits. Like not only are they giving birth by themselves, but they're also having a lot of children.
Correct. Or they could have gone the other way, breeding like rats. Rats. Okay. Rats or mice.
Vermin.
Right, vermin. So again, depending on who's talking, we'll make the coloring. We'll make the
They'll flavor the text.
What?
They'll flavor the text.
Right, they'll flavor the text. So it depends on who you want to be talking. Okay. So now let's go on. Vayitav Elohim Yadot. So Hashem made it good for these midwives. Vayarev ha'am v'yatzmu v'od. And so the nation increased and they grew greatly. Okay. So what happens? How does he benefit the people? So Rashi says that that he gave them houses. That's what it would be. That he gave them houses. And so if you look at 20, Vayetev Elohim, God benefited. Or Chaim explains that when God sees that a person desires to serve him a great personal sacrifice, he enables him to succeed, thus enabling him to perform even more good deeds, for which he deserves to be rewarded. Hence, For trying to make the nation grow, the midwives were benefited with extraordinary success, so that they would increase their good deeds and thereby earn even greater rewards. So if Moshe Feinstein understands the verses differently. Hashem benefited the midwives. How? By letting the nation increase and become strong. So great was the midwives' love for their people. Again, Moshe is going with the normal pshat of his Jewish women. That the greatest reward was the success of the nation. The secondary reward, the one that is mentioned later, because it was less important to the midwives, was that God made them houses. Okay, well, and that means the kingship, namely the malchut, and the priesthood. So you're going to have two things. Okay. So that's the next passage, Vayihi. And it was, Ki yaru hamealdot Elokim, because Hashem feared, because the midwives feared God, the Aslehem Batim, he made for them houses. And here's what it is, Bate Kahuna, again, and for Levia, Malchut Kroim Batim. So again, this is the house of the Kohanim, Levium, and the kingship. And as it says, Vayiven et Beit Hashem, they will build the house of Hashem, et Beit HaMelech, and the house of the kings. Kahuna, Levium, so the Kahuna and the Levia, the priesthood, and the Levites would come from Yocheved, and the kingship would come from Miriam. Because who does Miriam marry? Caleb ben Yefuneh from the tribe of Yehuda. Okay, so. All right, okay, so that's, and she becomes, right, Miriam becomes an ancestor of David because one of her granddaughters marries one of David's forebears. Okay, fine. So you have, but I'm pretty sure she marries Caleb. Okay, it's the next verse. Vayitzav Paro v'chol amolim. Here's another argument in the world. Paro commanded to his entire nation, saying, "Kol ben hayilod, every son that is born, hayorat hashlichuhu, to the you should cast it into the Nile. Chol abati chayun, and every daughter that is born you shall keep alive." Rashi says, there's an interesting thing again. Rashi says, what does it mean to his entire nation? He created the entire nation. Afaleim gazar. He even decreed about the Egyptians that they should throw their children, with male children, into the river. Why? Because Yom Shenolad Moshe Amrulo Ansiganav Hayom Nolad Moshe. That the day that Moshe was born, the astrologers, the Egyptian astrologers, told him today the baby that was their savior was born. Okay, yes, why not? Let's go with the savior. The savior was born. Anu Yodem im Mizrayim im Israel, and we do not know whether it is from the Egyptians. That's going to be the guy who's going to save them and free them, or from Israel. We don't know which one. We know that a child was born. The boy was born today. Wait, let me finish the Rashi. And that's the one's going. But we don't know who. We don't know the nationality of the child. V'roen anu. So, but we do see that Shesofol l'kopamayim, that in the end he will be smitten by water. Lefichach gezar oto hayom. Therefore, he decreed upon them that day, af al Mitzrim, even on the Egyptians. Shneimar, it says, Kol habeni yalod, all the sons that are born. V'lo ne'amar hayilod la'ivrim, and it doesn't say the sons that are born to the Jews. V'heim lo hayu yodim shesofol l'kod al memeriva, and what they didn't understand was that the Moshe will lose out because of the waters of dispute. They didn't know why. Again, that's the problem with these people who are seeing stargazers, that they get a picture, but they don't get the entire picture. Yeah. Okay, you were going to ask?
Why does it say today? Today, the person who saved the Jews is born. Why do they warn the Pharaoh in advance? Do they drop the news right on that day?
Apparently, that's all they could do. In other words, they got for the stars, they figured out that today was the day. So that's what they said. Stargazing, again, these people who are doing these stupid things, and forecasting, they can't tell me what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, but they're forecasting, And so therefore they use their little instruments, and their instruments identify, oh, today is the day. Today is the day. So now what do you do? Now that's according to Rashi. Rashi says, he told everybody. According to Ramban, I believe it's Ramban, he says, no, this is only referring to the Jews.
Yeah.
And only the Jews were killed.
So that statement follows immediately about the exchange with Shifra and Pua. So saying that this one then should be following that and saying, just kind of reiterating them. No, every
Right. So that, like I said, that would be according to.
Interesting.
That was according to Ramban, if I remember correctly. He says it's only referring to the Jews, but according to Rashi, because it says the Kol Amol Lemor Kol Habein Yilud, doesn't say Kol Habein Hayilud Yehudim, the Ivrim. So it doesn't say all the Jewish babies. So that's why it says only the everybody had to be thrown to the river. So can you imagine the Egyptians hearing that decree that everybody has to be thrown in? Why? Because we don't want to lose our population of Jews. Right? Because we want them. They're our slaves right now.
Wow.
They're our slaves. They're our workers. We don't want to lose our workers.
Wow.
There will be a major loss to the system. Who's going to collect the garbage? Who's going to build it? Who's going to build these things? Who's going to climb on the rafters? Who's going to do all these things? We need the Jews. But they're subservient to us. Whatever the case. I mean, you have to sell that.
Is there any other comment,
from whom?
Talmudically speaking, that clarifies this anymore? I mean, where do Rashi and Ramban get their thoughts from?
Ramban, no, Rashi is getting it clear because it didn't say Jewish children.
It's just okay.
Rashi because it didn't say Jewish children. Ramban is saying it doesn't make sense to say Egyptians, because why would the Egyptians give in to that? So really, since we're dealing with the context of Jews, it only means Jews. Yeah.
I have a question on, I think the person who says only Jews.
Ramban, Nachmanides.
Right. So beforehand it said that we should deal wisely with the Jews, because otherwise they'll join our enemies, or they'll declare war outright, and they'll have a civil war.
Well, no. Only if the other people come in, they'll join the enemy.
Right.
It's not going to go outright.
But if you go try and mass slaughter the Jews, they'll just leave, or they'll start attacking back, and there's a huge population of them, so we don't want that.
Again, they weren't suggesting attacking them, but okay.
Right.
But go ahead with that. Yes.
Well, that's my point. Then, if they weren't suggesting that, because if you're going to go and kill all the babies, then that's the same sort of like outright aggression.
Yeah, but you have to remember something else. This was a slow process. And there was when he started, he said, let's be smart.
Right.
So we're going to create, again, follow the Midrash. What happens is he wants to build Pitonim image. He goes out there and he says, we're having a building program, we're having a campaign. Please, we need your time, blah, blah, blah. I'm building, they all come, we're all loyal citizens, we all want to join you. The Egyptians are there, and slowly but surely, the Egyptians leave, Pharaoh leaves, but they're left, and they're not being paid. They ran out of money. Okay, it's not the first time a building project runs out of money, so they ran out of money. And they're saying, wait, what are we working for nothing? No, you have to keep working, and we're going to whip you now. Okay, so it was a slow process, just like the frog in the pan that you have on a slow fire. Okay, so now they're trapped, as it were, and now and the taxes were already being levied on them. So it's this very slow buildup. It doesn't. When I say very slow, by the way, it can be 5 years, and that would be slow enough to get this process going. And once they're there, so now they're already beaten into it. And now, and even when they originally were drowning the babies, or given the order, so that would have been subtle. It wasn't a public enactment until this is the first public enactment.
Right.
So now they're already beaten, as it were.
So
they're not going to rebel. Okay, they're not going to rebel. And more than that, and I think you can use Nazi Germany as a proof of what I'm saying. The more Nuremberg laws you put out, again, slow, the more you put out, we always assume this will end. It's only the government. Don't worry about it. Stay low. it's only in the big cities we have to deal with this, and not onto the country. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you could see people rationalizing not
Yeah.
leaving.
Yeah.
Besides, they don't have the money to leave. Oh, where are we going to go? All the goyim hate us. That sort of attitude, right? So, really, what are you going to do? So you stay low and you say, okay, this has happened before. We put up with it before. We'll lose some. I can hear that. And you see that throughout our history. We many times, again, we're good in the system, and then look what's happening now. Regardless of how I want to spin the anti-Semitism that we're experiencing in this country, we are experiencing an upsurge. At least it's being reported much more. Okay, you would think with the upsurge of anti-Semitism that we're experiencing right now in the United States of America, and all you do is look on YouTube for everything. I mean, not YouTube, Facebook, or any one of the social things where they're showing signs of how it is. We should all say, have a good day, pull out, take all our money, pay 23%, whatever you want to do, or take the money and just declare yourself. I'm not taking my citizenship away. So go, but we shall be leaving, right? But we're not, because we say what? Where we're going to go. Where we're going to go. It's all the same no matter where you go. I go to Israel, they're bombing. I go here, they're bombing. So what am I going to do, right? That's our excuse for not leaving. Think about it. Right now, we should be running out of America with all the hatred that's being thrust at us. And certainly in Europe, Europe should be Judenrein, totally free of Jews. Should be totally free. The amount, there was they had, what was it, a soccer game? And they were saying death to the Jews? Are you crazy? As a song? And the Jews are sitting there, that will pass.
Yeah.
How much do you need? Okay, so I bet, but again, we say, where are we going to go? The moon?
Yeah.
It's only some people based on the earth. And where we go, they hate us. So why not? We'll wait it out. We'll hang low. We'll act like it's not happening. Blah, 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 blah. Now, by the way, I'm going to say for the world to hear, the way to stop it is to do what?
Ignore it? Not ignore it.
No.
Confront it.
No.
No. Tell me.
Return to God.
I guess.
Do tshuva. Do tshuva. Do tshuva. Told tshuva. Say to God, you're the only one who's going to save us, like they said there. They didn't even say it. They realized it though. Say to Hashem, you are the only one. We're serving you, and that's it. We're through with this garbage. We're doing tshuva, and we need you to bring us out of Galus because we can't do it alone. Not nefesh b'nefesh, not anything else. We need you. And start keeping Shabbos kosher, follow the laws. We have a whole bunch of Shulchan Aruch there. Learn, and return. Stop speaking Lashon Hara. Stop having Sinat Chinam. Get along with our fellow Jews. That's what we have to do. And then everything stops. Because that's all Hashem wants. Right? That's what we believe. So, but instead, what we're going to do, we're going to try to negotiate. We're going to do everything else like they did, by the way. In the end of the parsha, you're going to see the Jews trying to negotiate with Paro. You're wrong to do this to us. We're good people. You're lazy. You're bums. That's why you're saying, let's go to worship Hashem. That's what happened. We tried to negotiate. We realized we were wrong, but we couldn't do it. Yeah.
Question. So we're talking about there was not so much resistance at first. So my wife has been watching.
Where we're
to go along with what
I'm saying resistance where?
To the rules that are being enacted about the work and so forth. We're inducting you, whatever. She's been watching some program. I don't know. It's Discovery Channel. There's a history, science channel, a National Geographic. I don't know. She's something about the Egyptian pyramids. I go, now this is nothing new. That with these kind of programs that you see on these documentaries, they're all based upon scientific, archaeological discoveries and so forth. But they mentioned, I picked up a little sound bites on some of these that the Egyptians they actually had volunteers. They weren't all slaves in the building the pyramids. And this is what you're saying. Our time frame here, it seems like they've said like some of these pyramids, at least according to what they're saying on these programs, are like 5,000 years old. Do we fall into some of these time frames? So this is what 3,200, 3,400
I
years
don't know
ago?
I don't think we built the pyramids. With
You think it
all
was
due
something later than
We
that?
built Piton and Ramses. We built,
Ah,
but I know we built Piton and
those
Ramses
were
because
supposed
that's
to
what
be
it says.
cities.
Those are store cities.
Ah,
So I know we built that. As far as what we inducted, do we want to build pyramids?
Mm.
I'm not sure we were the. I'm not sure. I think it was before us. I
okay.
think that's what archaeology wants to
Okay.
argue.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm not. I wouldn't argue one way or another for that. I'm
Mm.
sure that we had something to do with it because it was that. You know, it was probably part of the rook detail. And you know, you had to be away 6 months from your kids, but you got think of the paycheck you got.
Yeah.
So it could have been something like that. I'm not sure.
Mm.
I'm not sure about. Yeah.
This is now
Say
off
it
topic.
again?
This is now off topic, but if Piton and Ramses, their whole thing was they constantly sink into the sand and they have to rebuild it. That was the perpetual work
Correct.
that was established. Like talking about archaeological findings, did they ever find stuff like that, like sunk into the sand? Because if it was constantly sinking in sand, Jews leave, it's going to go completely away.
What it means, it doesn't. I'm not going to say it was sunk in the sand. It was just not a good place to build.
Oh,
It was just things would fall apart. It would, you know, they had to keep repairing it.
oh.
Sort of like our roads out here. Think about our roads out here. Every couple of years they have to retar or whatever else. Every year we have the same potholes.
Yeah.
Okay, why? You can argue because they want because of how our government works.
Hmm.
If I don't use the money, I lose the money instead of putting it away. So what I do is I make the road Davka, so it's going to fall apart. So I'm going to be able to repair it next year, and ultimately a couple of years later retire the whole thing again.
Yes, I've read long ago that depending on where you're located in the country, north to south, there's a freeze point, but you have to build enough concrete. If you build enough concrete deep enough for the lowest possible temperature and not some average low.
Right.
Right?
So
And
what
they,
we don't.
they don't want to spend the money to do that.
Correct. We don't. No, we don't want to spend the money.
They,
We don't want.
theoretically, rarely have
We
to fix
don't
it.
want to make it so that it doesn't have to be fixed.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
difference. That's the difference.
Planned obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence, right? That's what you said?
That's the
Right.
term.
Okay. So we don't,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we always have a job.
Yeah.
So that's what was going on at Piton and Ramses. That it was a place where no matter what you did, there was really no success there.
Always work to do.
There always work to do. So but that's why they had it there. If they would have brought it into Cairo, well, sooner or later the project is over. Now what do? Right? You can't keep, Trump Towers can only build about once.
I'll give you a modern proof.
Yeah.
When I worked for McDonnell Douglas, this was back in the 80s. My
My
boss told me, he said, spend as much, I was a supervisor and did some traveling. He says, fly. He says, spend as much money as you want. We got it. If we don't spend it, we're not going to get it next year.
Right.
Wow.
And again, you can't put it in the bank for later on.
That's
So,
right.
Right. So that's what they were saying. So yeah,
Just one last thing. Just
Yeah.
About time frame and stuff.
time frame. Yeah.
Like how old the pyramids are due to more archaeological stuff and carbon dating. When the time the pyramids were built, like the pyramids by Giza, it was the time the last mammoths died in North America, like the woolly mammoths.
And what was that? When was the last man to die in America? So, again, it can't be that long ago because you're dealing with a society.
Right.
So you have to figure out how many years ago that would be. A long time ago could be 3 weeks ago if you're on the stock market.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a long time ago it was at 26,000 and now it's at 23,000. A long time ago would have been 2 weeks ago, 3 months ago. It was actually not even 2 months. It was, it was at 26 at the beginning of November, I believe. And now,
Yeah.
So what is long time? Okay, so for the stockbroker whose hair was gray, or it was black in November, is now gray, or going white, because they don't know what they're heading into. So, like I said, I don't know if we built the pyramids. I don't know how long ago the pyramids were there, but when it comes to one other thing, I'll just say, not to waste too much time on this, carbon dating, like everything else, has its problems.
Yeah.
So. Everybody can say what they want. The time, whether the world is really 5,777 years, what year are you in? 79. 779 is that when man came on the scene, and that's what we're counting from. What was the success of creation? All those things, I don't know. If you were cut down, if you follow 6-day creation, 24-hour day, okay? So on the second day, on the fourth day, fifth day, excuse me, of creation, I believe this is what that, no, the third day of creation, before the sun was put into place, the trees were born, the trees were made. Okay, now let's go with that for a second. I cut down the tree, the big sequoia, boom, cut it down. The first day of creation, and the first day is created. And I count the rings. According to science, that thing is 5,000 years old because I counted the rings. Okay, but really, how old was it? It's 5 seconds. 5 seconds old. God just created it. Okay, so all right. So why did God do that? Okay, so can I have all these discussions? For me, they're just mental fodder after a while. And I don't like those discussions because I don't think they go anywhere. But but you can have them all day long. But that's what you would do. So on the first day that they're made, they're only 5,000 years old. So that's what I'm saying. Carbon dating would work if I know from the very beginning that it was here. I have to know the beginning point, not what you think the beginning point is. And then again, the assumption is that the carbon is always degrading at the same rate. Well, how do you know that? You have no proof of that. Once we have no way to measure that in reality. We go with since we know it goes like this, we extrapolate out. That's what we're doing, extrapolating. So again, I love science. I'm not against it. I don't really care about carbon dating when it comes. They want to tell me it's 15 billion years old. I say, Yashakayach, great. But it doesn't mean anything to me because you're not proving anything. If it is 15 billion years old, I have a midrash that says the world's that old. That's what I'm saying. I can go either way. It doesn't matter. But the question is, why do you have to worry about that? So when it comes to carbon dating, I'm not concerned. When it comes to who built the pyramids, again, I don't know. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. Maybe we had something to do with it. Maybe we remodeled them. Maybe we financed them. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, let's go on. So it says, Vayelech ish. Now this is after the decree. Again, throw the baby into the water. Okay, drown the baby. Vayelech ish mebeit Levi. So there was a man from the house of Levi, bat Levi, and he took the daughter of Levi. So that's Yocheved, by the way. She was born between the walls. She is now, and we're talking about Amram, and it says what happened. Rashi says, Parush hayamimana. He was married to this girl. That was Amram married his aunt, Yocheved, and when the decree was made, he divorced himself or he separated from his wife. So now he goes back and he takes her again. Why? Because he went after the advice of Miriam, his daughter. That Miriam said to her father Amram, your decree is worse than Paro's. Why? In Paro Gazar al Zecharim, while Paro made a decree upon the baby boys that they have to be killed. You by not being with your wife, by divorcing your wife, as it were, you've decided that nobody should be born. So you've even killed off the women. That was her argument to him. He took her back. He had a second wedding. Fine. And also, apparently, she got her youth back. We're talking about Yocheved. Because she was 130 years old. Because she was born when they came into Mitzrayim. Oh, by the way, here's your answer. Here's your answer. 130 years old. So she was 130 years old because she was born when they came into the walls. And so they're going to Matayim Es and Nishtav. They were there for 210 years. Because when they went out, Moshe ben Shmonim Shana, he was 80 years old. So if that's the case, if she was born when she was impregnated when she was 130 years old, Koreato Bat Koach, Bat Levi. So, and he was called Bat Levi. So now here's your answer. When did, so you're going back maybe 100 years more? No, Miriam. The whole thing fell apart 130 years into it. Okay, that's when everything was fall. That's when they were going crazy. So maybe 80 years before, 90, 100 years tops. But you have of freedom, of being with the people, and that's when they start to levy taxes and so on and so forth. So right around there. Okay.
So
Yeah.
Just a time thing I noticed.
Say again.
A time thing I thought about.
Time thing, yeah.
When it says when it says the man from Levi went and remarried, the Amram remarried Yocheved.
Right.
And then because he left because he heard Pharaoh's decree that they should drown every baby boy. It takes 9 months to have a child.
Okay.
So Pharaoh made the decree in advance. So on this day, whenever he made the decree, he made it in advance. He said
129 years old, you want to say? When she was 129 years old.
But how? Right, yeah.
Yep.
So it wasn't on the day. We were saying
No.
When the soothsayer said today's the day. It was.
Okay. No, I hear what you're saying. So she gave birth when she was 130 to Moshe.
Right.
Okay. So that meant that was the day. Oh, wait, go back.
Right.
Okay, so you have to go back to the original decree that Shifra and Pua were told that you have to kill the boys.
Oh, that decree.
Right.
Oh.
So now he's saying that you, what? Secretly, right? Secretly. So that's what he could have been hearing, because that would make sense in this, right? Either that, or you have to say, because you're right. If you're going to say that the magicians, whatever, the astrologers told her that today the baby was born, so that's referring to Pharaoh. So you have to go back with the story.
Oh.
So
You have to. You're right.
It was the first decree, wasn't it?
You have to say it was the first decree.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Very good. I wouldn't have thought about that, but you're right. This has to be out of order. Good. Very good. So what happens? Vatari Isha. So the woman gave birth. Vatela Ben, she gave birth to his son. Vatero Toki Tofu. And she saw that he was good. Ramban says, what woman doesn't? Is Ramban?
It says so done.
Yeah. Ramban says, what mother doesn't see the baby as good? Everybody says it's good. So that's why he's going to say something else. But that's his question there. But and she hid him for 3 months. So what does it mean? She saw it was good. And so Rashi says, Kishanolat nidmale habaye kulo ora. That's why Rashi has to say when the baby was born, the house was filled with light. That's what it means that she saw it was good. Okay, because what do we say about or? Hashem said, let there be or, let there be light. There was light, and he saw that it was good. Okay, so that we're making that connection to is good to being light in the house when the baby's born. She realized, oh, this is a good thing. Okay, yes.
I forget, Yocheved, is that her name?
Yocheved is the mother, yes.
So before, when the Egyptian slavery began, and when Pharaoh said, let's be wise from these people, it said that Yosef had died and all of his brothers had died. And therefore that entire generation that had known the freedom before were gone. So if Heaven was still alive, that's still one person left. From
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's the, wait, say again?
She was born.
So, and she would have known what?
The freedom years. I don't know, she was probably like 10 or something around that time. Well, because it went for 100 years, so she would already been well into her 100.
Again, I'm going to say like I said in the Sharon Bear. We have survivors of the Holocaust. You and I are survivors of the Holocaust. Okay? We are. We're descendants of, potentially descendants, I don't know from your family, but I certainly am. My family was killed in the Holocaust. Okay? But my family is, once the last Holocaust person dies, it becomes a Jewish myth.
Right.
You understand, Shmuel? Once that happens, it becomes a Jewish myth, just like everything else. Once there's no more survivors, we have a collective, we as Jews have a collective memory, but nobody believes that collective memory. A proof of, again, think about the Palestinians who deny that Israel is the Jewish homeland for time immemorial. Okay, and regardless that is mentioned so many times in our Bible, they think we're usurpers. Okay, that's what they try to sell to themselves, and they think we're stealing everything. Okay, so but we have a collective memory of Israel being our homeland. We have had a collective memory for the past 2,000 years of Israel being our homeland. Yes, okay, but people don't admit to that. They say it's a Jewish myth. So the same thing with them. Even though Yocheved and all her cousins and everybody else that was there. Remember, she's not the only survivor. We have Jews all over that heard the same story, but nobody's believing them, and now they're enslaved. So now tell the enslaved guy, Kunta Kinte, if you remember the story of Roots. Tell you remember the story of Roots? Roots, okay.
It was a television.
There was a television series, a
lasted
miniseries.
for like 5 weeks.
Right. So they got this. The original slave was Kunta Kinte from Africa. They stole that.
17th century.
Whatever, they brought him over. So he was of the. I remember when I was a king. That sort of thing. But his family doesn't know it, and so the slave said he will. Father don't know what's going on, but he'll tell them stories, and they're thinking, "Are you crazy? We're slaves. What do you mean that we were once a proud group?" So again, these people are hearing these stories of when we were rich, when we were mixing with kings, and meanwhile we're not there. If you follow the slaves part of that story, okay. Again, how many Jews think of our Davidic kingdom? We don't think of when we were great in Israel, right? We talk about it, but we don't really envision that anymore. So it's the same thing would be here. Once the king, the Pharaoh, is ignoring us and saying it wasn't there, it never was, you're a bunch of slaves, blah blah blah. Well, he said enough times as the German, I forget who, Goebbels, I think it was, say the lie enough times and it becomes true. Okay, it was either Goebbels or Eichmann, I forget who said it. Yeah. But that's what you. Oh, well, okay, we're late. Okay, we'll have to stop here. Very good.
Thank you.